Hey, Kareem. Glad you're here. This is going to be a busy stream because, there's three things going on today, so I don't know, you may think you're working too hard for this one. Um, okay, there was something I was going to mention to you. I've completely forgotten, so you'll have to excuse my brain. There's a gap in there. But general introduction. Welcome to the Transverse. I am Genie V. I am one of the executive team members for the brand new platform called the Transverse. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be bringing together a lot of content and creators to address really just a community aspect of being a person who is transgender or non-binary, and we're just going to bring them to the forefront to let people know we're just normal people. We are not we're not anyone different. We cook, we play games, we hold jobs that everybody else does, and we just want to be recognized for who we are. We want to support one another in what we do, and we want to provide for each other in the special things that we need in our lives. So that's what the Transverse is all about. Our main show is the Transgender Show. That is on tonight, and that's basically, let's see, if I end at 6:30, it'll be an hour and a half after, no, I end at 6. It'll be 2 hours after my show, so that's going to be 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Pacific, and you'll have to do the math on the rest of the places around the world. But tonight we have a great guest on the Transgender Show. Emily is going to be talking with Gilda Wabbit. Gilda Wabbit is a drag artist, but also is a classically trained opera singer and is someone who is very passionate about equality and equity of all people. So I hope you'll tune in for the show tonight. I can only imagine how great it's going to be. So join us tonight at about 2 hours after my stream ends, and you'll be able to be introduced to another part of the Transverse, the Transgender Show. Okay, so for me, I am going to be doing traditional meatloaf with mashed potatoes, gravy, and then I'm going to be roasting some asparagus. And I say traditional meatloaf because I am limited to using one recipe. It is in this cookbook. I cannot deviate from this recipe in any way, shape, or form. If I deviate from this recipe, my family will banish me to a place where they serve only McDonald's chicken nuggets and Diet Coke. So, I have to follow this traditional meatloaf recipe, and we're going to use ground beef, milk, some seasonings, breadcrumbs, an egg, garlic, onion, barbecue sauce, and Worcestershire sauce. Now, again, I'm not making a big deal of this because of the recipe. I'm making a big deal of this because of my family. So bear with me as I make sure I do this correctly. I have my hamburger meat has been thawing and it feels like it's pretty much thawed all the way through. You definitely want nice thawed hamburger meat, or you can use lamb or turkey or whatever ground meat is your personal favorite. In our household, we eat a lot of beef, and so ground beef is always on hand, and that's, if I even tried to deviate from this in any way, my family would revolt. I would love to do a mix of beef and lamb and maybe some turkey or something, just to give it some real texture. Especially pork sausage. I would love to do a pork sausage. Maybe one of these days when I don't have family to cook for and I'm making it all on my own, I can make it the way I want to. But I'm just going to loosen this up because I'm going to be seasoning this with well, not a gigantic, but this is just a bowl of red onion that I've diced up. That was one whole onion. And I'm going to be putting in some, wash my hands again. I'm going to be putting in some garlic that I'm going to chop up. I do have a bad spot in this one clove, so I want to get rid of that. Typically, I would put minced garlic in because I really like the garlic flavor. I love the strength of the minced garlic. Or even taking a microplane grater and just really just shredding it into something that I'm cooking, because that releases a lot of that garlic flavor and makes it very, very tasty. All right. That's about 6 cloves of garlic. All right. Seasonings. Now here's where I'm going to get into a little bit of trouble. Hey, Jess. Good to see you too. All right. Kosher salt. Okay, audio is off. Gotcha. Oh, yeah. Minced garlic. Sorry. My accent is sometimes very challenging for people. This is just black pepper, peppercorn, black with a grinder. The grinder is on the container, so I just, freshly grind those peppercorns that are in there. I'm going to put a lot of pepper in it. Now, you're probably not tired. I'm just a hick. That's all it is, Kareem. I'm supposed to put mustard powder in here, and dried mustard. I don't have any that I could find. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of curry in here. Just curry powder. With a little bit of cumin. And a little bit of paprika. Some Worcestershire sauce. My personal touch is steak sauce. I was cooking eggs on a burner that shouldn't be on, so imagine my surprise. I mean, cooking bacon, not eggs. All right, 1 egg's in there. And what else? Breadcrumbs. That's what's next. Breadcrumbs. Thank you, Kareem. I like my accent. I just know that sometimes, especially for people who aren't raised around Southerners, our accents can kind of get a little distracting. So, okay, this is just plain breadcrumbs, but I'm also going to sprinkle in some Italian breadcrumbs. Just to give us a few extra seasonings. Will I be banished to Chicken Nugget and Diet Coke Island? It is very possible, Sprout Girl. The thing is that if they don't know the difference, I'm not going to tell them. They don't watch my streams. Alright, so we're just going to mix all of that together. All I'm doing at the moment is just cutting into the meat so that I can get the stuff distributed. But in a second, I'm going to get just downright nasty. Meatloaf is a tactile food, meaning you got to put your hands in it. Growing up, I did not ever want to get my hands dirty, and I was quite old comparatively as a child before I ever really played in mud. And I still, even into my teens and 20s, hated the feel of stuff on my hands. It just annoyed me. And even to this day, I don't like things on the palms of my hands. And so, yeah, I wash my hands frequently whenever I'm cooking, not just for the safety factor, but just because it feels disgusting to me. But I did learn in cooking, you have to play with your food. Now, here's the catch to substituting things. As long as I'm not putting anything super weird in my meatloaf, I probably won't get in too much trouble. So I can probably substitute a few spices, a few herbs, but if I go putting things like carrots, bell peppers, jalapeno peppers, broccoli, cauliflower, something that they design, they've decided doesn't belong in a meatloaf, then that's when I get in trouble. Okay. Now comes the loaf part of the meat. So, this is the entertaining portion of the show, where I can't find my baking dish. And this is where I complain about people not putting things where they belong, or me not knowing where they were in the first place. Alright. Okay, we do not have to grease or oil the pan because the meat is going to render out all of its grease, and it's going to serve as our agent to keep it from sticking within the pan. So we can just go ahead and press that down in there. Wash my hands again. So how is everyone doing today? You've never had meatloaf? Well, you may have had meatloaf, it just wasn't American meatloaf. Anytime you put you take ground meat and season it and bake it, it's essentially the same. Meatloaf is found all around the world. It's not just an American thing, but oh no, Sunday roast is Sunday roast. Okay, so I need barbecue sauce. This is what makes the big difference for me whenever I'm eating meatloaf. I don't like ketchup. Now, that's not to say that I won't eat it. Yeah, it probably is like something that you can find in that. Minced meat spice, yeah, and then you just roast it or bake it so that it is cooked all the way through. Okay, so I don't like ketchup because whenever I was growing up, it just wasn't something that I enjoyed. Didn't like it on French fries. Matter of fact, I'm going to get slaughtered for this one too, but when I was little, I didn't like French fries. I do now. I like fried potatoes and French fries. Especially Arby's curly fries, my favorite. But this is bacon just going right on top of this. On top of the barbecue sauce. And what's going to happen is this bacon is going to cook right on top of that, release some of its fats and greases down into the meatloaf, and it's just going to give it that rich flavor of bacon in addition to all of the other seasonings and the hamburger meat. So, that's all washed up. All right. So now we have our pan of meatloaf. Really? Mortal enemies? Kareem? That's harsh. Okay, meatloaf. Ta-da. We're going to go into a 375-degree oven. And we're going to let that cook for, let's check the menu, the recipe here. We're going to let that bake for an hour. So, timer. All right, we'll put that on for 1 hour and we'll let that go. Next up is my potatoes. I'm going to go ahead and get those all shredded up. Not shredded up. I'm going to get those cut up. But first, I have to peel them. Oh, Dinah hears some, or Ollie hears somebody. So these are just Idaho's russet potatoes. Nothing fancy with these. But I just peel them off and cut them up. So, ooh, wait. Hot chips with vinegar in the rain. Now, chips, I like. And like I said, I like fries now. And I love what we call steak fries that are extra crisp with a little malt vinegar. Yeah. I was introduced to that by a friend of mine. Oh my gosh, malt vinegar on fries, just yummy. But here's the thing. If I really am enjoying French fries in particular, if I'm at a nice diner with a good burger, I mix mustard and Miracle Whip or mayonnaise to dip my fries in. Yep, I'm one of those. If I don't have mayonnaise or Miracle Whip, I'll dip them in mustard because I don't want to eat ketchup. But there are places now that they have fry sauce, and I really like going to those places where they already have that seasoned sauce that you can put the fries in. Whenever I'm at Arby's, I use Arby's sauce. Yes, I'm one of those, Kareem. I'm one of those that puts weird things on my fries. Things like bacon and cheese and chili and mustard. Salt and mustard. Ooh, to dip chips in, but British style vinegar and salt remains king. Yeah, I do like that one. Now, I'm going to be using this in a little bit for my asparagus, but this old style mustard, it is just it's just mustard seeds in there, and I think it's in a vinegar base. Water, mustard seeds, distilled vinegar, salt, white wine, sugar, a little bit of lactic acid and flavoring. That stuff is to die for, especially if you cut up some potatoes and give it a little bit of olive oil and then roll it in that stuff and then roast them. Oh, heavenly. Love that. Okay, that's a bad potato. Not going to use it. There's one thing about potatoes that there are a lot of people who disagree on how things look. Hey there, cheese on fries, great. We used to try that mixture for when we were eating artichokes. Really? I have never made artichokes, so I'm going to have to try that. Mustard mayo combo. But potatoes are a hearty, root tuber thing that can last a long time, but sometimes they get a little old, and you can tell they're getting old. Their eyes start sprouting out, and they get a little soft in places, and sometimes they develop pretty nasty spots on them. Well, I am one of those that I don't have a problem just cutting the potato off and still using it. I don't have a problem using a potato that it's a little soft and maybe past its prime. Once you get down to a certain point, it looks like a potato, it smells like a potato, it cooks like a potato, and it eats like a potato. So, works for me. And I have never gotten sick on a potato. As long as I've got the stuff cleaned out, it doesn't really bug me that much. So let me go ahead and use that one. I'm just going to cut the end off, though. That is nasty. Now, if it's rotten all the way to the core, I don't use it. That one may have some good spots, though. So, I'll go ahead and use it. By the way, as part of the transverse, I want to encourage anyone, if they are transgender or non-binary, or if they have friends or family, we would love to have them come and be a part of our community. We have a Discord server set up for the transverse, and as we continue to grow and build, we're going to be taking our platform not just to Twitch, but also onto the wider web, and eventually we're going to try to resource with local organizations and resources nearer to where a person lives, so that they can have all access to what they need as a part of trying to live that full and healthy and happy life. So we hope you will join us. If you are wondering about your own identity, or if you have friends or family members who are exploring that, all of us understand that it's a tough journey. We are not in any way, shape, or form experts on anything other than our individual journeys, but we do know how important it is to live a life together and to try and support one another in community and help each other sort of find that way for themselves. We can't do it in isolation, so we do it together, and we are better for it. Hey cats, yo to you too. A pan for my potatoes. Now, my secret to making mashed potatoes is that I try to cube them as small as possible. We don't want to have super lumpy potatoes, because then it's just boiled potatoes. And we don't want to disintegrate our potatoes, which can happen, because waterlogged potatoes do not make for good eats. So, fried tomatoes on toast for breakfast. Yum. I make cutting potatoes seem so easy. It really is easy when you get your fingers out of the way. I also have my own sort of technique, and it's just one that I've had to develop over time to make it easy for me. But I peel them, Cut them into sometimes 4, sometimes 5, sometimes 3. It depends on how thick the potato is. But cut them into those big slices down the length, and then flip them over, cut down the length again crossways, and then just chop them. So, I don't know how well you can see that. So I slice my thin pieces. I take and I stack them like a deck of cards. Pull one side out so it's easy. Then I cut lengthwise again. And then just cut right across. And usually you can get the right size for boiling them. Secret to mashed potatoes is a buttload of butter and cream and salt, and that is where I'm headed, cats. When I get all of these cooked, I will be putting a load of butter on them and salting them up while they cook. I salt my potatoes in the water so that the salt is able to transverse the membranes of the cells in the potato. And so you get a little bit better salt distribution that way. So as the water breaks down the potatoes, salt is carried in. So, yep, you got to have water in your taters. Now, you can also do things like putting garlic or peppers, if you like different kinds of chilies. Jalapeno mashed potatoes is very popular in parts of the U.S., especially parts that are heavily influenced by the jalapeno, the cuisine, I mean. And it can be quite tasty. I've had some really good jalapeno mashed potatoes. My preference is chipotle. I prefer a chipotle over a jalapeno because I like the smoked flavors of the chipotle, and generally the heat is just a slight bit different. I generally don't have white potato. Yeah, I do need to report to the bridge. I use Star Trek for all of my notifications. So yeah, I'm quite a Trek fan. All right, got the pan good and filled. So now I want to turn my heat on. It's going to go up to heat, and when it starts to boil and starts to get really agitated, I'm going to come in and turn that back down so it can simmer a little bit. I'm putting in a healthy amount of salt because there's a lot of potatoes in there. And let's see, mix those up. I may need to add a little bit more water as we go in because that is barely covering the potatoes. But as they cook down, they're also going to sink down in there a little bit better. So. Oh, really? Yeah, Kirk and Picard, two different persons, but more importantly than that, two different personalities. When Gene Roddenberry put Kirk on the screen, he was the swaggering ship's captain, cowboy, guns blazing, fists a swinging type. And when Roddenberry reinvented Star Trek in the 80s, Picard was that intellectual. He didn't go into battle to prove his might. He went into battle because all other options were unavailable to him. And that's why I love the new series Picard, and why I love how they expanded on the character of Jean-Luc for that. Jean-Luc, if you've never seen The Next Generation, becomes traumatized because of his capture and his transformation by the Borg collective. And he is left with those flashbacks and that PTSD throughout the rest of his life. But in the new series, you also see him not just responding to the fact that his mortal enemy, the Borg, is, they are refugees. They're a group of refugees in his sphere of influence. And so it's outstanding to watch that deep emotional impact on him as he comes to deal with that. But Kirk and Picard, yeah, I enjoy watching the original series. I was always a Spock fan, though, because Spock I identified with. Highly logical, relatively emotionless, analytical, digging into something, trying to find the answer for it. I identified a little bit with Bones because he was a little bit sassy, but Spock was always my character. In The Next Generation, of course, Wesley Crusher was that was the one that I looked at because he was me. He represented me. You had a teenager who was smarter than their own good, didn't always know when to keep his mouth shut, stuck his nose into things that he didn't necessarily need to be sticking his nose into, and was more of an adult than he was a peer with those who were around him. And so I identified with Wesley a lot. And it was sad how they treated him toward the end and on his release from that. And I know Will talks about what was happening toward the end of his time with The Next Generation, and I understand it. But I still like that character. He's still the one that I look at the most. So, but yeah, I love all of the Star Treks. I have not seen Lower Decks yet. I love Picard. I love Discovery. I even loved Enterprise for all of its weirdness. Deep Space Nine, though. Deep Space Nine is probably the best Star Trek series ever made, only because of the last few. I mean, once you got past the first couple, maybe 3 seasons, and once you got into the deep, deep moral implications of the Dominion War and all the things that were falling out from that, that was some really, really strong writing. And so, yeah, Deep Space Nine is amazing. And while I'm going to talk about WandaVision. But first, I need to pick up my asparagus. All right, this is fresh-ish asparagus, and I'm not going to cook all of this. Yeah, we love Voyager. Lisa and I started watching Voyager right after we got married. It came on, but the thing is that we were watching it on one network in syndication, and then Paramount launched their own television network, and we couldn't watch it anymore because our local access was cut off. We couldn't actually see it, and so we lost a lot of Voyager. You got 40% of that. Well, yeah. When geeks get to talking, geeks lose non-geeks in that particular area. Okay, so what am I going to do with asparagus? First of all, I'm washing it off and kind of drying it. Now, Lisa likes her asparagus done one way. I like my asparagus done another way. I prefer my asparagus to have a little bit of snap to it. I do not like a floppy asparagus. That's a good asparagus. A floppy asparagus, no, that doesn't work for me. All right, so, and if anybody takes that as Innuendo, that's on you. I'm talking about a vegetable. Okay, so I'm going to chop these so that they are about that long. So, for me, that's a bite size. I could chop them up a little bit smaller into. Oh, finally, Kareem, we find something to agree on. Yay! Cats, if I'm going to grill asparagus, I'm going to wrap those things in bacon, sprinkle it with some lemon pepper. That's how I like mine. So I'm going to go ahead and do these in bite size. I'm going to go ahead and cut those pieces in half. And one of the things that I like on the way you wave that knife looks like you're threatening us. Yeah, I should know better. Years and years of Boy Scouts should teach me better. Okay, olive oil. What am I going to do then? I think I'm going to get. I know these work. It just takes a little bit of finagling. So, I'm going to take my asparagus and toss it in here. Okay, it's in my pan. Drizzle a little bit of olive oil in the pan with it. Give it a good shake. Cover everything up. Try to get everything down into a single layer. That way nothing's covering other pieces. Or my salt. By bringing your salt up a little bit higher, you get a wider distribution. It kind of falls a little bit differently than when it's up close. So I'm going to go back to my pepper. Oh, potatoes are starting to boil, so great. Okay, now I'm going to come back with my mustard. Let me get a teaspoon here. All right, so this is a teaspoon, and I'm just going to do a couple of these in the pan, but let me see if I can get this up there without dropping that on my computer. That is beautiful, and it tastes so amazing. Let's make sure that I don't know if it's going to get it. I can't see my preview picture. So, yeah, these are whole seed, Cat, and they are amazing. The vinegar is just sharp, and the flavoring is just delightful. So, my lid's right here. Be honest with you, Sprout Girl, neither have I. But I am going to try it because I'm crazy this way. Alright, just going to mix it in so that we get contact with all of the mustard and the asparagus. Oh, somebody's watching my show in the bedroom. Alright, push that off. Okay. And the last thing I'm going to do, I need to turn my potatoes down here, is I'm going to take my last piece of bacon over here. And I'm going to find my knife. And I'm just going to cut this bacon up into little bitty pieces and sprinkle that in amongst the asparagus so that I get a nice little bacon treat. No, I just heard the TV, or I heard me coming from my bedroom. Are the taters going to boil over? No, Thank you, Kareem. I am so glad you came by, and I'm so glad that we finally found something that we can agree on food-wise. So, have a good night. Take care. All right, let's see. Nice. Okay, let's go right on top of that. I'm going to mix that in just a second. So that, kind of get it distributed throughout the asparagus. Now, I think this is going to really come out great. I think I'm going to end up with some tasty asparagus, and hopefully I don't overcook it so that it's all loose. And yes, the food war is on hold for now. We do not want to continue the food war. It's sad enough that I started an international incident between us last week. All right, so I'm going to pop that into the countertop oven, and I'm going to roast those. But I'm going to wait just a little bit because my meatloaf is still 35 minutes from being done. And my potatoes can still use a little bit of time. So we're going to talk about WandaVision. If you've not watched WandaVision, you are missing out on perhaps one of the best written television shows in the history of written television shows. And I say that because it is genre bending, it is category bending, it is so overwhelmingly complex that you forget that you are watching superheroes, okay? So, roast. Let's go up to 350. I'm going to go with 15 minutes to start. 20 minutes to start. See how that happens. WandaVision, you forget it's a superhero show because there's just so much going on. It's so in-depth. The history of it is this. Okay, wait. Catching up. I thought it was really crazy to begin with, but then it started making sense. Yes, that's the thing. Wanda the Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff, was introduced in Age of Ultron, as was the Vision, a synthezoid individual, a constructed individual. Wanda has been touched by the cosmic cube, the little blue glowy thing that is sought after by the Red Skull and Hydra. And she is exposed to that energy and she develops powers. Tony Stark and Bruce Banner, they come together and they create this entity that is an artificial intelligence. And that artificial intelligence is downloaded into a synthezoid body. In the Mind Stone,
the Scepter, not the Tesseract.
Okay. Point taken. I got the wrong doohickey.
Don't.
Yeah, I know. Just go away. Pushy 18-year-olds. So anyway, you know what?
What?
I'm tired of your sass. So in the third movie, we are shown that Wanda and Vision have a romance. But by the end of the fourth movie, Vision and Wanda cannot have that romance. So if you've not seen the movies, I'm not going to spoil anything for you. But suffice it to say that at the end of the fourth Avengers movie, Wanda and Vision are separated. Then starts the WandaVision series. In the very first episode, you are introduced to a newly married couple, Wanda and Vision, and it's all black and white, and it's a 1950s sitcom format. And it's the typical hijinks. One of the things that I think is great about that episode is that Dick Van Dyke was actually brought in and he was consulted on giving it the good feel of the 1950s era sitcoms. The second episode, Black and White, Wanda and Vision, are in a 1960s sitcom. And so you have a slight difference in the background, the furniture, the clothing style, and so it's, you really feel like something weird is happening here. The third show transforms into a 1970s full color sitcom. The fourth show puts things in a different perspective and you see behind the scenes of the show. The fifth episode, we are jumping up into the 80s, which is kind of fun. Wanda Maximoff is played by Elizabeth Olsen, who is the sister to Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, who were the twins who played the youngest child in
Full House.
Full House. So here is this Olsen doing an Olsen type show 40 years apart. Amazing. But the thing is that in the third episode, Vision begins to suspect something is different. In the fifth episode, third episode, fourth episode, fifth episode, Vision begins to confront Wanda on that thing. And in the last episode, that's right, we're on 6, right?
We're coming up on 6.
Okay, on the last episode, at the end of the last episode, we see Wanda in a totally different light. Now, here's why I think this is just amazing. First of all, you have a sitcom wrapped around a serious drama, which is intermingled with the superhero movies, that is also a very mysterious plot. We don't know all of the plot. We don't know everything that's happening. And so all of this is going on at the same time. Fantastic. The writing on it is amazing. So, yes, if you're not watching it, watch it. Stick with it. It's so good, so good. All right, excuse me. I need to wet my whistle and catch up on chat. I have a theory, cats. My theory is not popular, so I tend to avoid getting into trying to argue my point unless it's with my children, because when it comes down to it, if they disagree with me too much, they don't have a place to come. I'm just eating a lemon, y'all. I said I was going to wait on that asparagus, didn't I? And I didn't. My brain didn't work right. Okay, so what other?
You're getting WandaVision facts wrong.
Don't make me ground you. Okay.
From what?
I don't know what I'll ground you from.
I'd do anything.
Yeah. When life gives you lemons, I peel those suckers and eat them like an orange. I love lemons. They're probably tearing up my inside like you wouldn't believe. Because, yeah, probably eat too many. Okay, what else is happening in the world we can chat about? Oh yeah, most of y'all I could ground Andrew from hiding in his room. Most of you have probably seen me in a chat somewhere or had the opportunity to be a part of the Transverse Discord, but wanted to let you know that is sort of my job now. Things have changed a lot for me since December, and I have an amazing partnership with Emily would go from over on Instagram and her show, where she started out with the transgender show, and she's been doing her Droid Outpost where she customizes remote control R2 units and BBE units, or R5 units, depending on whoever is customizing them. But she and I are working to get this partnership together, and it has been a delight to work with her. I've given her a lot of flack over her cooking method, because her cooking method is, if you don't have enough fire, you're not trying hard enough. So, in the process of getting to know her, we found out that we both have this same passion and vision for being a part of something bigger than ourselves to make the world a better place. And that's what the Transverse is all about. It really is about making the world a better place. We don't want to push some kind of agenda. That's not what we're about. What we want to do is we want to create a safe space for people who are transgender and non-binary. That's it. And I know it's a controversial subject in the US, in Great Britain, and in other places around the world. The idea of the Transverse is only to bring all of those people together so that we can find a way to support and encourage and help and resource and love one another. That's it. We're not trying to take over the world. We're just trying to take over our lives. And we're trying to live them to the best possible ends that we can. So, you're going to see a lot more about the Transverse. You're going to hear me talk about it all the time, because that's my job. I am Chief Operational Officer for the Transverse. And what that means, I get a really big title to do day-to-day administration stuff. That's what I do. But being a part of something bigger than myself that makes a difference in the world, that's worth every letter of my title and all of the paperwork I have to fill out. You don't want to take over the world. You do not want to see me in a dress. Cats, here's the thing. You may not want to wear a dress, but in Australia, a kilt would be a perfect garment to wear. Believe me. Because right about now, it's probably sweltering hot, and just trying to sit around and find a comfortable place, nearly impossible. But a kilt makes it so much easier to do that, to enjoy sitting around. I love mine. I have 3 kilts, and they are just super comfortable. And I have utility kilts because I'm not Scottish. I'm German. That's my heritage. So I'm not going to appropriate a tartan or pickles. It's the way that the kilt that I have is not that hot, because mine is denim and canvas. No, Lisa, I have not made tea. I'm getting ready to. Hear the clanging of the bowls. But mine are simple utility kilts based on the classic Highland kilt. It's pleated, it has the pleats, but it has a front bib that is more like an apron for like a blacksmith. And then it has utility pockets on the side, so it's kind of like cargo shorts in a way. But yeah, it is just amazingly comfortable, especially when I was wearing them in the Oklahoma summers when the humidity was 95% and it was 100 degrees and it just felt nasty. No, I am not going to cook haggis. What do you mean cook haggis? That is just out there. First of all, I don't know that I want to find a stomach to cook it in. Oh, got that in there. Yeah, Lisa's a Scottish Viking Scot. I don't know what. Alright, put that on for 4 minutes. I'm not doing haggis. Yeah, I don't have the stomach to cook haggis. Ha 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 ha. That is exactly right. I'm not going to do it. I mean, I've had some things that people consider to be disgusting. I'm not opposed to the idea of, trying something, but I also know there's no way that my family is going to even come close to being in the house if I cook haggis. Oh, that's bad. Haggis haggling. Good heavens. Alright, what else can we talk about? Oh, Falcon and Winter Soldier's coming up. I watched the previews, the trailer for that during the Super Bowl. Oh my gosh. It's a buddy cop show. Now, I know there's been a lot of speculation on who is finally going to wield the shield. It's going to be tough to say. It really is. Because the trailer opens it up that either one, Bucky or Sam, could wield the shield. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Check my asparagus. Looking good. Check my meatloaf. Looking pretty good. Alright, I had 20 minutes on my meatloaf. I'm going to go ahead and cut the heat down on my potatoes. Your haggis is on Sam. Yeah, I hope so. I would love to see Sam's. You thought Bucky died? Bucky was thought to be dead in the first Avenger when he fell off the train, but he came back in Civil War, and Cap rescued him, and that's what led to the split, the Civil War, and eventually he did fall off the train in the first one, but he was alive and well for the last battles. You have to remember that that one great scene in Infinity War, where Rocket looks at Bucky and says he wants his arm, and the gag from Rocket is that he's always wanted body parts just to make fun of someone, and then there is this, there is just the fact that he's standing there at the end with Sam when Steve gives Sam the shield. So he's right there at the end. That's been the talk that they're going to bring these two together, but they have a little bit of tension. They have a little bit of tension because Sam's not too sure about whether or not Bucky can be trusted, and there's just the fact that, he used to be an assassin, and Sam used to be a soldier. So he's not really keen on the idea of running around with a Cold War era assassin as his partner. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic. I think it's going to be fun. Still waiting for Black Widow to come out because I can't wait to see Taskmaster on the screen. He looks so amazing. I love the costume now. I wasn't sure if I was going to like Taskmaster, but it looks so good now. So I'm hoping that will get released. I read today that Spider-Man Far From Home was the last Marvel movie released in a theater. That was 2019. So crazy. we've gotten so used to 3 or 4 Marvel movies a year, and that's a half cup. 3 or 4 Marvel movies a year, and we missed out completely last year. It just blows my mind. Okay, I'm gonna give the asparagus a toss. Just because my the next Venom movie, I didn't know there was another Venom movie coming out. I still haven't seen the first Venom movie. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. I'm going to leave that in the hot oven because I think it feels pretty good to me. I don't think it's too soft, but I can tell that they are starting to turn just a little bit. Now, I need to drain my potatoes off because I want to get rid of that excess water. My potatoes are nice and soft and look like they're perfect for mashing in the pan. Just threw some butter in the floor. So I have a half a stick of butter. This is 4 tablespoons. I'm probably going to put a little bit more in because there's a lot going on in this bowl. Just going to cut my butter up and put it in so that it melts a little easier and a little farther across. Okay, so it's distributed there. And that is real butter. It's not margarine. It's not the fake stuff. That's just good old butter. My favorite. Good morning, Pickles. Do I measure a solid in volume? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It probably is going to depend on what I'm cooking. Somebody put an empty butter box back in the refrigerator. Don't get that. Don't get it at all. Okay, so I think, let me check my butter here. I did drop it in the floor, but it was wrapped. So I think it's good to use. Yep, it is. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that right inside of there. Give my potatoes a little bit of a stir so I can get the butter all in there. Okay. So, it's looking good. I have 13 minutes left on my meatloaf. Doesn't look too bad. I just want to make sure it's fully cooked through. Let's see, what else? Oh, just to be, fair and equitable to everybody, I guess Superman's coming out. Don't know. Won't watch it. End of story. It's not that I'm against any of the DC shows. I love Legends. Legends of Tomorrow is my favorite of the DC shows. When Flash started taking itself too seriously and it turned into a soap opera, I was so glad that they brought the Legends off of that and spun it into its own. Why does DC hate joy? I have no idea. But anyway, when they spun Legends off, it gave me something to appreciate. It's also, got you. Why do they hate joy? Well, and that's what Flash is. Flash is full color, lots of color on Flash. But Legends is just bonkers, and that is why I love it so much. But the writing just got so bad on all of the shows. I don't know what happened. I liked Supergirl, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to watch it because, trust me, coming out as transgender does give me certain eyes that are a little bit different and look at things differently, and Supergirl was quite famous for marking new territory in the LGBTQ representation on television, so I'm going to go back and watch that. But the writing on it just kind of fell apart. The Flash just got so dreary and dull, and all about the how bad is Barry feeling. I really don't know what they're going to do with this Lois and Clark show. They go back to Smallville. They're raising 2 kids. It's just, I don't know. It's going to be different, so I'm probably going to do a hard pass on that one. Now, I did like Black Lightning. Is that what it? No, not Black Lightning. Yeah, Black Lightning. That was it. That was a good show. Very powerful. But I just got, really what happened is I got to where I just wasn't watching anything. And Mandalorian was one of the first series that I got back into. And WandaVision, I really liked that. But I just kind of fell off of the television series bandwagon. And now I'm playing Fortnite more than anything else. As far as entertainment goes. I'm not watching a whole lot of TV shows, but yeah, I get into Fortnite now. Mostly because my friends are pretty good. And they make me look relatively good whenever we're playing. I've gotten a little better over the month or so that I've been playing, and so I feel kind of confident that I'm not as horrible as I used to be, but it's mostly just about us building that community and friendship together, that sisterhood, because we happen to all be trans women. That sisterhood comes together, and we just enjoy the heck out of it. It gets kind of nasty sometimes where we get toxic with one another and insult each other, but you can watch that. You can watch them on the Valkyries show on Thursday nights and on the Transverse. But I'm typically not playing on that one. So yeah, I really want to play Elder Scrolls Online. I'm just kind of tired of Elder Scrolls for right now. It's just not my thing right now. You might say the Elder Scrolls got old for me. So I am enjoying Fallout 76, and I'm really getting into the improvements that they've made on that game. Of course, there are brand new things that I'm wanting to play, and I'm hoping that I can activate my motivation to stream once we get the business side of the new job kind of started on a nice, even pace. Most of the day, I don't have the time to play like I used to when I was just an out-of-work person. But now, I don't have as much time to play and really do have to work on stuff. And balance that with my family. I kind of messed up and lost that balance. And so now I have to work to build their trust back and have them help me out. Yeah, it was kind of tough. We're still working through that one, but it happens. All right, I have 7 minutes left on my meatloaf, and I am just working on this tea right now. Put a little bit of cream. Well, I'm gonna put a little bit of half and half in potatoes. Hi, Emily. I don't know that you're in here, but I see you sent me a message. She's probably telling me she forgot that I was streaming today, and so I'm not actually being hosted on the transfers. I don't know. So, we'll see. Whether she knows it or not, I'm promoting the transverse crazy. So, and eventually I won't talk as much about it, but I'm just so super excited, y'all. It is so big. It's big. That's all I can say. People are going to get tired of me talking about it because it's one of those things that when you're passionate about it and you want to bring everybody in the world to what you're doing and you want them to love it as much as you do. Yeah, that's where I am with that. So, it's annoying, I know. I could talk about food. I've been thinking of doing, just for silliness, a pork rind comparison video. Buying a bunch of different pork rinds and tasting them and seeing how they compare to one another. Really, it's just an excuse to eat pork rinds. But, I don't know. It sounds like something fun to me. I don't know that anybody else will find it fun. I think I've lost my audience. I know I'm still filming. Are you all fascinated by watching me mash potatoes manually, or what happened to you? Oh, there. Hi, guys. Okay. I was beginning to think I was talking to myself. Not that that would be abnormal. It's something I do anyway. But I was, talking to some of you. Absolutely, yes. I see. Splitting your time, are you, cats? Sharing me with another onliner. Well, I talk to my dogs. And Dinah talks back. She is a conversationalist. She's a brilliant conversationalist. She loves to just get into these deep philosophical conversations or just telling me about her day. See, she's telling us that Nick is there. That's okay, Pickles. I don't mind larking. Who's here? Who's here? Is it Nick? It is? Okay. Are you going to tell him? Okay. No, they don't smell bacon. They're just waiting to greet Nick when he comes in. Hey there, Star Charms. Good evening from London. I'm here in the central U.S., down in the Ozarks in the middle of the country. So, glad to have you come by. We are just waiting for a little bit of meatloaf to finish in the oven. We've got about 3 minutes on that. My tea is steeping, so I can mix that together. My mashed potatoes are mashed. My asparagus is roasted. I'm going to make a little bit of brown gravy to top those mashed potatoes off. And I think that's probably going to be it, y'all. And so I want to thank everyone for coming by and chatting with me during this time. I'll tell you what, it's only 5:30. At 9 o'clock Eastern and 8 o'clock Central and 6 o'clock Pacific, we have the Transgender Show, and tonight's guest is the lovely Gilda Wabbit. And if you don't know about Gilda, I go out and find her. She is on the internet. She is a fantastic singer. I love to listen to her sing. She is classically trained in opera, and she can belt out some of the great classic tunes from opera, but she also can sing some of the most recent tunes also. So, like I said, 9 Eastern, 8 Central, 6 Pacific. That's at twitch.tv/thetransverse. And if you want more information about the Transverse, I will get you hooked up with that information eventually. Right now, I don't have anybody in here who has that link, but I'm going to get that link added to my Twitch page as I kind of go along here. So, you all are great for being here. Thank you so much. For those of you who just dropped in, I'm sorry, but yeah, supper is almost ready, and we are just about going to plate this up and put it on the table. So, Booyah and who else came in? Oh, gotta find it. And Star Charms. Sorry that you all came in right at the end of this, but check me out next week. I'll be on Tuesday. I start at 4:30 Central Time in the U.S. So if you kind of count back an hour, that's when I normally stream a cooking stream. And so come in and just chat with us. We talk food. I talk the recipe. I talk a little bit of the things that I do around it. And sometimes we get into something interesting, like geekdom or politics or some of that other stuff. So have a great night. Have a good rest of your week. And take care of yourselves. Be good to yourself. Accept yourself and know that you are worthy of love.